I want to ask you guys, what's going to be more exciting? Because obviously we know. Let me just set the table. Obviously we know the team that's first in the East. You get to play a lower seed. You get home court advantage. Through and through, all of that good stuff. And it's looking like the team that might come first in the East might have home court advantage throughout the whole playoffs, including the finals.
They got the best record in the league, Mo. Ron, they got the best record in the league.
They're not making it to the finals.
However, the worst team in the East might just have the best odds to get the number one pick. And we know what that could mean. We know exactly what that can mean. So let's just say that the number one pick was guaranteed if you were the worst team in the East. Let's just say, for instance, it was guaranteed. You're gifted it. What will be more compelling? The race for the number one seed? Cavs, Knicks, Pistons? Cavs, Knicks, Pistons? Or the race for the bottom? Come on, Ox, you can sit this one out. If this is just going to ruffle your feathers too much, you can just sit this one out.
I'm going to mute my mic.
I think the race for the top of the Eastern Conference, to me, is kind of over. As far as like getting the number one seed, I think Detroit is going to continue to do what they do in the regular season and, win games. They have a great formula with that great defense. They have Cade, who is number one. He's been healthy this year. I do remember there was a point in time that was a bit of a concern for Cade staying healthy. So shout out to him for that. So as long as Cade is healthy, they play great defense. They're going to win regular season games. So I don't really find the race to the top as far as the number one spot that entertaining in the Eastern Conference because I think they're too far gone at this point.
Plus, and I do want to talk about the Western Conference with this too. Yep. However, I forgot one team in here. So I said Pistons, Knicks, Cavs. Let me put some respect on the Boston Celtics, who actually are the second seed in the East. And they're only 5.5 games behind the Pistons. And they might get gifted, a 6'10" step back merchant.
A 6'10" step. Yeah, they might get gifted that. But to your point, real talk, we all know that. Like once we get later in the season and you recognize that these things aren't attainable, like the Celtics might shut their guys down because we've seen Oklahoma City when they are 16 games up in the West. They shelve SGA, they shelve J-Dub. If we at the end of the season, to Mars's point, if we at the end of the season, I'm still trying to get the number one pick. So I am 100% doing everything that I can to lose games so we can possibly get better odds. Yes, because this lasts all the way to the end of the season. We're not just looking at Washington going, well, Washington is 4 games ahead of us or 4 games behind us. Like, we got to start losing more games. So we're going to do everything that we can to continue to activate the tank and to keep the tank hot.
Chill. So, but like besides those bum ass non-integrity teams, right? Like you got to also remember. So it's not always about the fight to the one seed, though. You know what I mean? Like maybe let's say Detroit has that on lock. Well, maybe a team like Cleveland. Maybe to your point, you said you don't think Cleveland wants it with Toronto or certain teams, right? That fight to that second seed to some teams is just as important, if not more important, to that one seed because it's like, okay, I might get a chance at Orlando or Atlanta or, you know what I'm saying, a team like that, at whoever comes out of the play-in. So we also got to remember that those 2 to a lot of times that 2 to 8, especially in the West, that 2 to 8 is decided by a game and a half.
Real talk.
And me personally, if I'm the Lakers, I don't want to play Minnesota. I'd rather play Golden State or Phoenix, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to get to that 2 seed.
Real talk, you fight teams duck smoke all the time.
I think when you're in the Western Conference, because we've had this kind of conversation about the West for the past few years now, because it's been all bunched up, and teams can't really play let me see what seeding I want game in the West, because you mess around, lose one game, and now you're in the play-in. Right. So that's never a good idea. You want to make the playoffs. But if you are, comfortably in a top 4 seed, and you see that, hey, if we stick in this 3 spot, we got Luka, Braun, and Austin. Maybe we won't want that for real. Let's try to see if we can get Golden State. I mean, that can definitely be an option for some teams. But again, in the West, it's just way too competitive to even think like that. You got to win as many games as possible.
Yeah, I could get with that logic, but I'm thinking about a team like Minnesota. So like Minnesota is in the 6th spot right now, and they end up, let's just say for sake of argument, they end up dropping to the 7th spot. I mean, are they looking at the Golden State like, okay, we could beat them, and then we end up getting San Antonio in round 1? They're looking at San Antonio. They ain't looking at San Antonio like, damn, we got to see them. I think Minnesota's looking at San Antonio like, we can beat them. We 100% can beat them.
Minnesota thinks they can beat everybody in the well. Right. At least I think Minnesota can beat everybody.
I think they think that too. But I feel like when you're in the play-in tournament, the teams that you're looking at in the play-in tournament, depending on who you are, you're looking at teams like we can beat Phoenix to get to 7th spot, and then I think we can beat as good as San Antonio is and as good as Wemby is, I think we can beat them. I'd rather see them than have to see Denver in round 1. I'd rather see them than have to see Oklahoma City in round 1.
The team this year is probably Phoenix. If Phoenix so happens to make the playoffs, cute little season from them, applaud their little effort, you know what I'm saying? But their last year's Houston Rockets, you know what I'm saying? Everybody last year was like, oh man, if I could just get the Rockets in the first round, that'd be fantastic. And that's going to be Phoenix this year because they're for sure going home in the first round. Like it's not even.
I think can we say the same Rockets thing again too? Real talk. I think
the Rockets. Yeah, the Rockets maybe that team again. One of the teams again.
I don't know about the Rockets. I was asking.
I want to bring it back east, Damian. I actually want to ask you, which race do you think is more compelling? You have the top 4 teams in the East: Celtics, Pistons, Knicks, Cavs. Then you got the bottom 3 teams, and maybe we can add the Bucks to this. I don't know, but you got the Nets, 15-38, Pacers, 15-40, and the Washington Wizards, 14-39.
That was a serious question. I thought you was just bullshitting.
I think it's gonna. I think we're gonna see something different to what we've seen previously. Like usually in previous seasons, teams know who are the worst teams in the league, and we sort of lightly look at it. But I think this year, especially, it's going to get a lot of media attention, especially like which team's gunning for the number 1 pick, which team has the worst record in the league. It's going to be tracked. I think this year it's going to be very interesting because I think it's going to be tracked this year like the top seeds. Like I think there's going to be some genuine people are going to be tuning into that game, Indiana and Brooklyn chill at the end of the year. Like, hey, I need to see what this is about. But I think it also gets to the point, to Ox's point, where if teams are separated by a game or so, it's still going to be similar odds in the lottery. And what's interesting is that the very worst teams in the league actually haven't got the number 1 pick, I think, over the last sort of 5 years. So has history shown us that you can be a bottom team, but you don't necessarily have to be the worst team in the league to get the number 1 pick? I think that's another thing that's I don't know if teams actually thinking about that. It's obviously about how many games can we lose to improve our odds, but you don't necessarily have to be the worst team in the league to get the top pick in the draft. And then on top of that, depending on who you are, to me, Indiana and Brooklyn especially, do they need a point guard? Do they need, if Darren Peterson's available, obviously, is that someone that you take regardless because you think he's the best in the draft? That's another thing that it will depend on what the teams are looking for as well, because not necessarily getting the number 1 pick if you don't need a point guard doesn't matter in the end if you're not going to take Darren Peterson anyway. You know what I'm saying?
I'm playing him at the 2, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think he's a 2 too.
If I'm being honest with you, I'm playing him at the 2. But, and this might ruffle some feathers with my man Ox. I think in the Eastern Conference, I think it's some teams at the bottom of that playoff picture. They looking at Boston like, we could beat them dudes. We can beat them dudes.
They're wrong, but I ain't mad at them for feeling that way.
The reason why I'm saying that is because I can appreciate what they are this season in terms of the system, right? In terms of the system, the ball movement, the continuity that they have on defense. But, and I've said this to you countless times, when we get into the meat and potatoes of the game, I can't X and O you anymore. Go get me a bucket. Go get me a stop. And I feel like there are teams that look at the Celtics that they trust their guys, like Philly, like maybe the Miami Heat. We can stop these dudes. We could get Jaylen Brown to make more mistakes. We could get Sam Hauser into spaces where he doesn't want to be. Even though Sam Howell's is actually a really good defender, I don't think people give him enough credit for his defense. I think he's a really good on-ball defender, but I think we could put guys like Derek White in spaces in the meat and potatoes of games that he doesn't want to be in, and it'll really give us a chance. And it'll really give us a chance to win games. So I feel like with the Celtics, I'm not going. Food isn't the word I'm looking for, but I do think that there's teams that look at them like we got a shot against them.
Sure, if I was Miami, Orlando, and Philly, I'd feel the same way. Like because I mean, first of all, you have to find some type of way where my team can beat this team, right? If you're coaching, it's like, okay, I'm not going into this like, damn, we're screwed. Nah, I'm getting to the war room and I'm going to be like, okay, this is how we got to execute. This is what we got to do to beat this team. But with or without that, chill, I've been from the beginning of the season saying the East is wide open. Now, obviously, I've had 3 different favorites to win the East this season, but it is
that kind of speaks into it though.
Yeah.
I think so. In fact, it's been 4 teams. Right, I had the Knicks, I had the Celtics, I had the Orlando, I had Miami. So there's 4 teams I've jumped around. You know what I'm saying? Said this team would do it, this team would do it. Right now I'm with Boston, but chill, absolutely. I think any team in the East should feel like they can beat any team in the East. That's even Orlando versus New York. That's Miami versus Detroit.
Penn, I gotta ask you now that you're here, which race are you more fascinated with? Number 1 seed in the East or the 15th seed in the East?
I am way more fascinated with the number 1 seed in the East, personally. Because I'm trying to figure out where is Charlotte going to be, and then who is going to have to face them in the opening round. Because that team is not, they're not doing all this to just go home after 1 round. They actually think they can beat people, and that is a very scary thing for an undercard or a road team, when they literally think they can come into your building and stomp you by 20, 30 points, and there ain't going to be nerves in that locker room. Because I know they're a young team, but they have, when people consistently show you that they are built for those bright lights, they're built for those big moments when they go up against, I don't think y'all realize what a big deal it is to go into OKC and beat that team by 27. I just don't.
And that 27, just so you guys know, that 27 is indicative to the game. They went in there and stomped them boys.
Yeah,
they did. They went in there and kicked Oklahoma City's ass.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
But to your point,
That's an understatement, Damien. That's an understatement.
But that's what I was about to ask him. So
what do they lack? This is again. Okay, forget about the name recognition. What do they lack? Do they lack?
Penn, what about the suspensions? Like we're gonna lose these 3 guys. We're gonna lose Bridges and we're gonna lose Musa, who Mars loves. We're gonna lose these guys for a couple of games. That's gonna be a problem moving forward, especially when you're in the playoff race. Yes, it's gonna be a huge problem.
Yeah, they are trying to like move up the ladder.
Yes, and to lose these guys for 3-4 games, that's gonna be a problem.
Sure, analytically speaking, they've been the best team in the league over the last month.
Right.
They have, but the one thing I don't believe in is their defense. I just don't believe they're a top 10 defense. I just truly don't. Now, if they sustain that,
they're gonna show you.
Kudos to them, but I just don't believe it.
Look, there have been teams historically that have turned it around January. They've been kind of bad. I think you need to remove the context of the record, because every time I tell Ron, I want to talk about the Hornets. He's like, Penn, they're the 12th team. And then I'll be like, yo, Ron, we got to talk about the Hornets. Penn, they're the 10th team. Talk to me when they're out of the play-in. Look, man, like, what are we going to do? We're going to talk about them when they stomp someone in the first round? Because this team could fully beat, like, the Boston Celtics in the first round if Tatum is not right. This team could beat, I ain't going to say they can beat Detroit.
I'm not mad at that, actually.
They can beat the Knicks. Dude, they can beat the Knicks.
I think the Knicks
Wait.
They're not beating Boston.
Bring that back. Bring that right back.
They can beat the Knicks.
The Hornets versus the Knicks, Penn. What would your prediction be in that series? How many games do the Hornets win? And ultimately, how do they win?
I predict that the Knicks would win 4-2. That's a prediction. But if the Hornets get hot, the 9 threes that they take, the amount of fucks that LaMelo does not give with his shot selection, the amount of pressure that his shot creation puts on that team, the dynamic.
No, Penn.
How do you stop all these dudes? Okay, think about the size of this team. Okay. You got LaMelo at the point guard, right?
Sure.
Who is Jalen Brunson guarding in this series?
He's going to have to guard LaMelo, which
no,
that is a nightmare.
He's not guarding LaMelo.
He guards Con.
That's an even bigger
No, he
nightmare.
doesn't guard him either.
He guards Brandon Miller.
LaMelo guards no one, by the way.
What
More
are
than
you
likely,
talking
Miles
about?
Bridges.
That is an
Who-
insane. That is an insane proposition.
Who guards Jalen Brunson?
Yeah.
LaMelo.
I mean, shit.
The Knicks are sweeping that
Alright.
series.
Hell no,
LaMelo?
Mhm.
All right.
Brandon
Right,
Miller.
right, Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller's
Oh,
good.
see ya.
You know who guards Jalen Brunson? A better defender than Jalen Brunson.
Yeah,
What does that have to?
Shit,
I don't know.
yeah.
I'm
it
trying to
doesn't
tell
mean
you,
any.
if
It does.
you-
It
if
doesn't
you
mean
have the
anything.
two-
Real talk. I mean, it's
you have the
absolutely
two
nothing because
biggest
Jalen
defensive
Brunson is
liabilities.
better, is a better scorer, a better offensive player than LaMelo. So okay,
Yeah.
Defensive
You know what I'm
saying?
liabilities
So what
are going to
is-
be
so what does it
stretched.
matter?
Defensive
Mikal
liabilities.
Bridges is going to guard LaMelo better than LaMelo guards anybody in his whole life ever.
Very true.
That's not. This
So
isn't
we-
even going
are
to be
we
That's
in
a
the
close.
place
Game.
now
5-game
where-
series. I'm not gonna lie.
We're talking
That's
about a
a
legitimate.
5-game
We're
series.
talking about a legitimate sweep at best.
Yeah.
At best.
Are we in the
Okay.
place now where
Cool.
a team can have a good 4 to 8 weeks and all of a sudden they're going to beat the Knicks in the playoffs?
Yeah, they're going to beat the
We've
Knicks.
always been in this place, Damien. This ain't nothing new. We've always been
Like,
here.
what am I hearing, man? That's crazy, man.
Charlotte got hot for the last 2 months. Now they're gonna smoke the Knicks. No,
Yo, but chill. What is the most important part of the regular season in terms of determining who you really are? Is it November? No. Is it
I
April?
think it's the last
no.
third of the season. These last 27 games.
No, I don't think so because the last 2, 3, 4
Actually, no,
weeks
that's
of the
not true.
season,
I
that's
think
just
it's-
not
it's the
true.
middle-
People are
it's-
preparing
it's
for the
the middle.
playoffs.
It's the middle 27 games. That's where I'm
Okay, and
Yeah.
who is the best team in the NBA in the middle 27 games?
Who has been the best team in I think that 13 games
Mars.
over 500.
Mars.
Would you care to tell the people like who the best team over the last?
Chill ran it down. He was
Yeah.
giving us every team's record. Like you missed that part, so he knows it's
bad.
the Hornets because he answered this early.
They
So-
13
so
games
is
over
it-
500, just like Detroit is.
Okay, so over the last little
So
stretch,
the Hornets
who's
in
the best
Detroit.
team-
This is ridiculous.
Shit,
Hornets
the
in
1 and 2
Detroit.
seeds. Yeah, the 1 and 2
But
seeds.
why is it ridiculous, Bron?
Penn, I still might be stuck in yesteryear.
You
I
are.
still might be stuck in the trash that these two teams, the garbage that they just bestowed upon the whole entire NBA from 2022 to 2023 to 2024. These teams are good now, I guess. I got to come around to it. Hey, Penn, sometimes I'm early to the party. I'm late as hell to this party. Both of
Yeah.
them. Both
You're
of them.
clearly late.
But it's the
I'm like,
same
in-
argument
in-
with
in-
Detroit. It's the same argument with
piss-
Detroit.
It's the panel. Religion get built on cam. Where the check throw smoke and the host go ham. You ain't never seen hoops out hit the raw. Every take got weight, every night we drop. This that barbershop. Courtside, worldwide tone. Welcome to the only show that really feel like numbers jumping like the score.